Alright guys, Scrappy again. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far with Black Ops 7 on the horizon. Lots to talk about how this game is going to play from a competitive perspective when the game comes around. Dashy definitely has his concerns, especially compared to Call of Duty Mobile. That seems to be killing it in many aspects right now compared to what we've been playing in the competitive scene over the last couple of years. But also, what about the M8A1? Octane says that as far as he's concerned, he'd love to see it be used in competitive play, but he knows that the way that the pros think, that is not going to be happening at all. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. I wanted to get into a few things on BO7, lots to talk about the maps over the last couple of days, lots to talk about what the meta is going to be for this game as well. So, interestingly enough, we've got Matt Scrons. He's going to be sitting down and talking about some of the changes that they're looking to make. So, movement, aim assist, footsteps, mantling, big changes, including updates to dexterity and ADS, which is pretty interesting. So, there has been a bit of talk, especially about dexterity, because it's a crutch perk effectively in Black Ops 7 as it stands. You kind of need to run it. So is it possible you just remove it and integrate it naturally into all the player models? Not necessarily. What do you do with ADS during some of the Omni movement mechanics? That's also a good question. But interesting about especially aim assist, right? Because there has been talk that the aim assist is a bit too strong, and if they're going to talk about aim assist, it probably means they're going to discuss weakening it. I can't imagine they're going to come out and say we're going to make it stronger. Footsteps, like footstep audio, is always a conversation, and the perk changes that we talked about. So look, the fundamental game is not going to change that much, but I think there are a few things they could tweak to make this game better from a competitive perspective, and it seems like Traixx are going to try to make that happen, especially given the competition this year from Battlefield 6. The maps are also a key talking point so far in Black Ops 7. We had quite a few in the beta. You know, some were pretty good. I quite liked Cortex. I think the Forge was pretty good. Blackheart, I'm not so convinced by. Exposure, I'm not so convinced by. Toshin was maybe okay, but not exactly great either necessarily. And then there was that snow map Imprint, which again, I don't know how viable I think that is really. So, you know, there are a couple of maps in there that I think have some promise, but maybe not exactly spectacular. So I think it is good that we do have some of these throwback maps. You know, Raid is coming back. What's it going to look like with wall bouncing? Good question. Hijacked, Yemen, Express, among others, like loads of other BO2 maps coming back. Meltdown, we think, as well, returning for Search and Destroy. So I think we are going to have a good map pool, but, you know, it's the maps, not all of them were like, wow, that we're back, right? They weren't exactly Rio 6-star Vista, right? The maps in the beta. Maybe there's a couple more that will come out in due course. Look, thankfully they weren't as bad as some of the maps that we'd seen. I saw this doing the rounds. Which COD map is the worst? And this was a vote between Embassy and Modern Warfare 2. Now, Embassy was not even like a bad map. Like, that was played in competitive that year. I think it was okay. It wasn't great. It was actually one of the better ones, to be honest. So I'm not going to hate on Embassy too much. It wasn't that bad, really. Piccadilly was horrific. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It was awful in the sense most maps aren't just a real life location. The hotel map in Modern Warfare 2 actually basically was. But yeah, Piccadilly is just hilarious that they just ripped it from real life and were like, you know what, let's just send that as a COD map, and with all the buses and everything gone. I mean, playing Search and Destroy that map was certainly an experience of all time, and when Joe Seacock cooked that one up, I knew COD was not going in the right direction, let's say, after the previous couple of years that we'd had. So Piccadilly's certainly up there. Whatever you think about the maps in BO7, they're not quite Piccadilly for Modern Warfare 19, I wouldn't say. And actually, Zuma was looking at this, I mean, they say Activision here, but effectively like Infinity Ward, right? And then Treyarch maps over time. Which ones take the cake? What you'll find here is that a lot of the Treyarch maps, at least some of them are a little bit more recent. Well, actually, not really, to be fair. But pretty much all of the Infinity Ward maps are just the absolute OG maps, right? So we're talking Crash, Crossfire, Favela, Heart. I mean, you know, these are COD 4 maps, Modern Warfare 2 maps. Of course, a load of these Modern Warfare 2 maps came back in Modern Warfare 3 that we played a couple of years ago with the likes of High Rise, returning to competitive. Of course, you know, Scrapyards came back. Terminal was actually played for some time as well. Underground was a map on Modern Warfare 3, and then Treyarch, also the classic maps there. So some maps from World at War. I think Castle was remastered, wasn't it, in Vanguard, something like that, for that season. They've got Grind, a Black Ops 2 DLC map, few other Black Ops 2 maps here as well. Stadium, of course, was a Black Ops 1 map. Like, I love, but all these maps are pretty solid, right? At least for pubs and stuff. For competitive play, I'd always lean the way of Traixx. I've all got a very soft spot for maps like Summit and like WMD, I thought was also fantastic. But I don't think this does Traixx justice, really. Looking at the BO3 maps, looking at the BO4 maps, for example, when Infinity Ward were cooking up an absolute stinker over the last few years. And yeah, in Infinite Warfare had some decent maps. I think Retaliation is one of the more underrated COD maps ever, to be perfectly honest. And that game from top to bottom, Throwback, Retaliation, among others, pretty good maps in Infinite Warfare. But yeah, Traixx definitely take the crown at the time. There is talk, of course, that maybe Sledgehammer nowadays know what they're doing better. Now, Lionman also put together this graphic looking at the gun metas that we have had in Traixx games, especially compared to what we're going to have going forwards. So Black Ops 1 was, for some of the game, there were 8 FAMASs on the map, but that wasn't always the case. There were AK-74 used as well, so, you know, there was an SMG used at times. It wasn't just 8 FAMASs, but the FAMAS was pretty good. But since then, I mean, BO2, BO3, BO4, we were actually going to exclude the flex roll for BO3, but I was like, we've got to put something in there, because that game was so varied in terms of the meta. Anything could be used in BO3. A lot of it was to do with ban and protect, but you'd see the VMP, you'd see the CUDA, you'd see the Vesper, you'd see the Pharaoh from the SMG side. The flex gun, you know, I think the HVK was the best flex gun, and towards the end of the season it was very much noted to be so. You could have put the Man of War in here as well. There were other options. I mean, and from an AR perspective, you could use the XR2, you could use the Shiva. There were all sorts of options. And even, this isn't even considering the fact that the snipers are in those games, right? The Paladin was a great sniper in Black Ops 3. The pistols, you could use the RK5, you could use the LCAR. Both of those are, I mean, that wasn't even the only one, was it? The MR6, that was the single fire one. So all of those guns are very viable, so I thought we had to at least show that in this. Black Ops 4 though, many people will look at this and say that was the best. And even Black Ops 2, what I just said about BO3 applies to BO2 as well. Like, the PDW was viable early on. The MP7, the Scorpion, for example, right? Like, there's some other ARs that you could consider too. So, but BO4, I think many would say that was like kind of the gold standard, because the Sorg, the Maddox, the ICR, all of them were really fun to use. They all very much did their own thing. Like, if we had a gun like the Sorg, Maddox, and ICR in every single COD game, and they were balanced in the way that those weapons were, I think would be in, like, that kind of was, as much as I love BO3 and the other games, like, that was kind of gold standard meta as far as I'm concerned. Since then, it's not been the same story. The 74U in Cold War with the Krig, the Jackal in Black Ops 6 with the Amy's. I mean, it's basically the same, isn't it, right? Like, it's a 74U and an ICR shoot straight type thing. Is it going to be the same story with the Dravek potentially in BO7? But things have gone somewhat downhill, let's be honest, since some of the glory days. But intrigues your thoughts on that in the comments below. But speaking of this, the M8A1, of course, was noted here. The M8A7 noted in Black Ops 3. But is that going to be the case this time around? The M8, of course, is back in this upcoming game. Yes, it's a marksman rifle, but it behaves kind of like the M8 used to behave. Now, there's lots of debate on whether it's really too strong. In my opinion, kind of no. I mean, the other full auto, what was it, the M15 or something in the beta, was a very strong AR. And yeah, the M8 is really good. It can one-burst you pretty heavily, for sure. Does it seem way too overpowered that it's never going to be in conversation? Look, if the M8 was allowed, would you see 8 of them on the map? Absolutely not, right? So from that perspective, I don't really see it being too overpowered. You guys might remember when they brought the ITRA into World War II, there was talk, especially with the way that the game plays, the ITRA was getting six of them were on the map when they were playing scrims, 6 or 8 of them were on the map, and that's why they GA'd it. But in this game with the movement, you can allow the M8. You're not seeing more than 3 maximum on the map. Probably only 2. Probably only your main AR is using the M8. Like, I mean, you might be even a decent meta when you've got an M8, an M15 or something, and then a couple of Draveks. Not impossible, especially with the movement. You're just not going to be able to use the M8 all the time, and it's going to be more difficult to burst people when they're flying through the sky, as it was in BO3, even though the hit range now is really good. So Octane says, as a fan, he would like to see it in, and he's got no issues with it. But if he's looking at it from a pro player lens, they're going to say, well, its one burst is very strong, it's a marksman rifle, it's gone without even a second thought.
Yo, man, your M8 clip rubs me the wrong way. I don't know if I'm taking it the wrong way, but the M8 can't not be GA. None of the guns can be GA'd until we give the devs time to balance it out, because the pros would never give guns a second chance. Stonesy, the M8 is a marksman rifle first and foremost, and it can one burst across the map, my man. I listen, I'm all for it. Fuck it, you know what I mean? But I'm looking at it as their point of view, and that shit's in the stratosphere already. It's cooked. That thing is gone. Okay? No, M8's gone, man. M8 is gone for sure. Dude, if they really want to make it, like, in order for them to make the M8 usable and competitive, they would have to make it really bad for pubs, which I don't think they would want to do that. Because you would have to absolutely nuke the movement of it, which is already not great, but you would have to make it even worse, and I just don't think they want to do that. Because if you're going to leave the damage as it is, or like the range and all that stuff as it is, you would have to just destroy the movement of it. And at that point, players wouldn't even use it in competitive. It's just like a lose-lose situation.
Oh my God. A pro master grandmaster is hard, bro. I like their names better than COD. I can't lie. Or like, I guess console COD or whatever, or non-COD mobile. I actually like it, bro. Grandmaster and legendary. What's your rank? Legendary. Bro, tell me that's... Yo, what's your rank in legendary, bro? Bro, what's my shit? Iridescent? I'm iridescent. Grandmaster's way better than Crimson. Yeah, I placed Crim last act. Come on, bro. We got to take notes, bro. Like, I feel like COD... Or I keep saying COD because this is COD, I guess. But I guess PC COD... I don't know, bro. They got to take notes from like other esports even like fucking... I fuck with Val, bro. Like the ranking names. Like Immortal. Immortal's so hard. Or Radiant. That shit sounds so cool. I'm pretty sure Rocket League's got some... Bro, me and Ken used to always laugh about this, but it's some trolly shit. Like fucking their shit's... Yeah, no, it's Champion and then Grand Champ, but then the other one is Supersonic Legend. Like, bro, it sounds insane, but like, god damn, like...
Is it possible that the CDL could step in here when it comes to the GA of the M8? Because I do agree with Octane that as well as I would like to see it, I don't think the pros are going to be on board. I think there's absolutely a world where the pros just ban it without even a second thought, and they go back to what we've had the classic meta, which is very low recoil, boring, shoot straight AR, and then basically the same for the SMGs that will gun you across the map anyway with better movement, right? Like, it's not the Call of Duty that I know and love, let's just put it that way, but it's been this way now for rather a long time. Is it possible the CDL could step in? Because we know that last year, many of the pros weren't very happy that they had effectively no say when it came to map-making decisions. At the start of the game, of course, yeah, whatever they play kind of goes, but when it came to making changes to the map pool, the pros didn't get a say. The CDL just decided what map was going to go, what map was going to stay, and that was controversial, but I think the right way to do it, because otherwise the pros are going to make decisions with their own personal biases in mind. That's another issue here with the GAs. But again, with the GAs, it's like, is it possible to stop that? Because with the map set, the CDL can just change it, right? They're forced to do it. But can the CDL force you to use the M8, even if it's the best gun by far, and it should be the main AR that your team's using? Is there anything that's going to stop the players agreeing not to do it? Like, no, it doesn't really work. The only way is if the worst CDL team decides, you know what, screw it, we're pulling the M8 out, we're just going to run it anyway and break the GA, then all of a sudden things can get pretty hectic. So, intrigued to your thoughts on that in the comment section below. Pretty great video where Dashy spent a little bit of time playing some Call of Duty Mobile and seeing how that one would work out. But very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. Just one final thing I thought was funny, because people are still waiting on this announcement with regard to the process to such an extent that Jason is like, you know what, I just made my own process. It's 7 minutes long, but at least it's something, right? So, you know, very much intrigued to your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.